Hi everyone, welcome to the Man United Agenda. Yes, another game, another defeat. I think we've won 1 in 10 now, but that was a big game against Arsenal today. And they continue on. Good luck to them. They might have a chance of winning the title, but we wanted to put a dent in their campaign, but unfortunately, we couldn't get any points of them. Bath time, how are you doing after this wonderful, glorious weekend?
I'm really good, thank you, Monday. This has been one of the most beautiful weekends I can ever remember. Absolutely great. Well, we had the Northern Lights. Did you see the Northern Lights?
I was told to look out and I was awake, but I just completely forgot. I didn't look, but I saw people taking pictures of it and things. So this was on Friday night, wasn't it? Because I know.
And last night.
Oh, because I know some people that went up to the hills on Saturday night and they said they couldn't see anything. But this is in London. I think the skies probably aren't that clear. So tell me about your experience. What did you see? Did you take pictures?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the Northern and the Southern Lights. But I paid a hell of a lot of money to see the Northern Lights, and I spent an awful lot of time seeing the Southern Lights because I took a boat to the Antarctic, which I've told you about before.
We had this conversation, recently.
Really, really good. And then everyone got to see them for free last night. But also, it was just such beautiful weather, and I think the atmosphere in the crowd today was amazing. Certainly in the second half. And I think it just shows the power of a sunny day and daytime drinking, which I cannot wait to get onto.
It makes a difference, doesn't it? Because we're playing Newcastle on Wednesday, and that's a late game, 8 o'clock. And people have to work during the week. And when we play Crystal Palace, a lot of fans had to leave. It's on Monday, bank holiday, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And the game was 8 o'clock, and then the last train was at 9:50 or something like that. It's impossible to get back home. So it's good for the fans a day like today to really go out there and sort of give it their all. All right. Are you disappointed, Bath time? I mean, losing to Arsenal.
Yes.
You are okay.
I'm disappointed with the result. I'm not that disappointed with the performance. In fact, I'm quite encouraged by a lot of what I saw out there today. Yeah. There are some problems, but the problems I think we're going to discuss this evening are very, very different to the problems we've been talking about for most of the season. We've got a whole new set of problems to get going.
Fair enough. Let's talk to the guys in the comments. Welcome everyone. I hope you also had a great weekend. If you've done anything good, let us know. If you've done anything really nice like Northern Lights or had a good boogie session or whatever. Andrew Williams saying that thumbnail is too funny. I just had a look at it. Bath time said to me just before we started the show, "Have you seen the thumbnail?" I said no. I went and had a look. I just couldn't believe it. Guys, if you haven't seen the thumbnail, check it out after the show because we're started now. Andrew finds it funny. Big up to Bart. It says ranking order, bad to worst. 18 defeats, 82 goals conceded, negative goal difference, 62 different injuries, 18 centre-back combinations, worst Champions League campaign by a British club. Which one's worse? He's asking.
Well, we can do that tomorrow. This is a match reaction, not ranking stats, Bart.
Big up to DK Wilson. Where's he from today, Bath time?
He can be from Seattle.
I'm sure we've done that before.
No, well, we had that last week, didn't we? Where we spent 10 minutes arguing about where it was from.
Yeah. Seattle, Washington, or Seattle, San Francisco, or
either.
All right, we'll do the other one. Seattle, Washington. No, East Coast.
Move on Monday.
All right, we're moving on. UK Strange and House saying, "What's with the crazy thumbnails recently?" Do you want to answer that?
That's my local AI program that I've been using because Mr. B is on the treatment table at the moment. So I've taken up the reign of the thumbnails. Do you like them? Do you not like them? I just think they're much better than the sort of red and yellow, a picture of a bold man and crisis, which is about 90% of what United thumbnails are.
Okay. Here we go. Andrew Williams saying, okay, first question. Whose fault was the first and the only goal? I'm going to come back to that one.
Yeah.
Evening, lads, says King Dino. I've been very disappointed with every game this season. We were really poor. So unfortunately, King Dino, it's been a poor season. DK Wilson saying, Casemiro can't turn in his United gear quick enough. And big up to Moss Sports World. Win is a win. I know Moss Sports is an Arsenal fan, I believe. How you doing, Moss? Andrew Williams saying, I want to see if everyone agrees or regarding the fault of the first goal. We've covered that first then. We'll talk about that first. Man City is still going to win the league. Nothing Arsenal can do about it, says UK Strange. And there's only one. And one day said DK Wilson. There certainly is. But I'm Yabba now. I'm Yabba Forbes. I've dropped that name. for my own reasons. So there's no point. No one knows who it's on Monday apart from this channel. I'm Yabba on all my social media. So I
You'll
was
always be a Monday to me.
Huh?
You'll always be a Monday to me.
Oh, damn. All right. No relation to United. Cool thumbnails. So there you go. DK Wilson license. Right. Should we go back to this question about the first question about the goal? This is a talking point because I think covered it at half time. Let's talk about this half time. If we're going to lay blame at somebody, whose fault was the goal? Because we're trying to play out from the back.
All right. I think there are 4 components that went wrong with the goal. The first one is Onana's kick, right? We're sort of trying to build. Sorry?
Did it go to the man?
Well, that's the thing. Is Onana kicks it out. We're building up. There wasn't a huge amount of pressure on the ball, and Onana booted it. So that's the first thing: is should Onana have kicked it? The second thing is should Højlund have competed more for the ball? Okay, like he's in the wrong sort of place. The third thing is Casemiro's positioning, where he doesn't get out quick enough.
Yeah.
And the fourth is how we set up to defend the cutback, in particular with Wan-Bissaka. And I've just thought of a fifth, which is the positioning of Amrabat not showing enough for the to give a pass to Onana so he doesn't go long.
Which one of these 5 contributing factors is the most damning, do you think?
Well, the most damning.
I would eliminate the kick. I thought the kick with his left foot, it went to his man.
I mean, the most damning is definitely Casemiro not getting out.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, like that's the big thing is that Casemiro doesn't get out. That's a basic error, and it's the individual error that has cost us. I would say, but I don't like the kick on Monday.
But he had to. If I remember rightly, he had it on his right. He cut it to his left foot, and he still can hit a pass with a left foot, and it went to his man. Obviously, under a little bit of pressure as well. But I thought if you're a goalkeeper and you play the ball and it goes to your man, as a professional, you should be able to hold it up at least. So I would. You might not like the kick, but it's gone to a player. It's reached its target.
It does. It goes straight to an Arsenal player.
Oh, does it? Right.
Yeah, that's why I question. That's why I question Højlund, because the thing is that we know that one of the components of playing there's 2 main components playing a high line. One is getting high, which is Casemiro not getting out, but the second is there's got to be pressure on the ball, and there's no pressure on the ball to the pass to Havertz, it was Havertz, wasn't it?
Okay. So King Dino's saying here, because you mentioned this, we never defend cutbacks. So this is an ongoing issue with our club, isn't it? So that's
shout out to King Dino. I haven't seen him for a while, and let us know what you're thinking about Fiore Usek, because he's an amateur boxer, isn't he?
All right, big up King Dino. Yeah, Andrew Williams saying here the big error was seeing the guy play for us last 4 games at centre back. Talking about Casemiro and him being played there again. Everyone can make those mistakes. Problem is Eric keeps making them again and 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 again. See where he's going with that. So Andrew did say in the previous show that the manager should know better, that he doesn't want to play in centre back today. And he did.
But if you take the individual error away from Casemiro's performance at centre back today, I didn't think he did that badly at all.
Well, for the caliber of player that he is, he shouldn't be making that many mistakes, But there's always something, and it does lead to defeat. And all it takes is one mistake to lead to defeat. So you can say, all right, otherwise he's done all right. But when you're playing centre back, especially against a team like Arsenal, you're probably not marking anyone a lot of the time. It's just where you get caught out with your positional play. And he definitely did there. So if you're talking about winning headers, people you often judge on winning your headers and your tackles, your interceptions, things like that. But in a game like this against a high-class Arsenal side, it's about the concentration and being in the right position, because they will move you out of shape and take advantage of weaknesses like we have, like playing out from the back. So I hear what you're saying, but I just think I don't know what you guys in the comments think, but we did ask the question, who was at fault for the goal? Bath time, I think you're leaning towards Casemiro as the
Oh no,
strong.
100%. I'm
Okay.
on Casemiro because that is like there are like individual errors and things where where the
Yeah.
ball runs under someone's foot, or like Steven Gerrard did that slip, Aaron Wan-Bissaka did a slip, and things like these are sort of individual errors that can happen to anyone. But Casemiro's error is a complete misunderstanding of football at the most basic level, which is about understanding lines.
Yeah.
And that's why, even though he's a centre back, like even though he's a defensive midfielder playing at centre back, it's such an important error. It's like not understanding how gravity works. Like like it's like an electrician saying, "I'm not a scientist. I don't understand gravity," and then just dropping a plate. You bloody should understand it, and you've got to get out.
Yeah, I think it's like he's the last man, so he could see what's going on over that side of the pitch, and he could have made a bit more effort. That's the
It's
thing.
lazy, Amondo.
Yeah, that's what I say. He should have made a bit more effort to get out if he understands what they have to do there. But he was looking across the line, saw everything going on, and then he had, he didn't really, he wasn't around or couldn't be influenced to cut back or anything like that. It's just shame. It's a real shame because that one goal meant Arsenal. If we scored first, Arsenal would have had to show character, but because they scored first, it was like they could go into a mode where it's like we're going to stop you from playing, or we're going to, just soak up a bit of your attack. And they did that really well. I would have preferred us to score first. I think it would have been a different game completely.
Yeah, of course.
But I would expect them to come at us if they really scored first. They would have to come out of their shell a bit more. But then they got into a safety mode where they didn't have to really take too many risks after that. So are we, guys, in the comments, do you agree here? Because Tyrone Williams, how you doing? So I saw Casemiro play centre back for Real Madrid a few times, and he never complained. DK Wilson saying Casemiro literally trotted back and never looked around him. So clearly, he was
I've just remembered something, Amondo, which is that did you see the beginning of the game when everyone was walking out?
Maybe. Go on.
Well, like one thing that really annoys me is that they have individual mascots now, so there's no real sort of punches up in the tunnel.
Okay.
But Casemiro came out with what I assume were his children, because they were the only mascots that had numbers and shirt names on, and one of them was about 8 months old as well. I think that was Casemiro's last home game.
Okay, but he's playing Newcastle at home, I think, on Wednesday.
Can he possibly start that game?
Have we got players back? I don't know. You said
Willie.
Preview. Yeah, you said there's a few players maybe coming back from injury who weren't necessarily risked today, but we did see McTominay back in the side today.
Should have been subbed.
Okay. All right. So Casemiro, we all agree maybe at fault here. Just go through the comments here. Let's have a look. Obviously, DK Wilson saying here, Casemiro literally trotted back, never looked around him. He did not react to Trossard at all. Talking about Wan-Bissaka, I believe. He defended the situation, not even after not getting out.
Yeah,
about Casemiro. And he does not smell danger in any way, says Andrew Williams. We've said better saying, I feel for Ten Hag. What can he do? Casemiro needed De Jong next to him in midfield and Varane next to him in defence to work well. Arsenal don't have the clear instinct. That's why they will never win big trophies. They're certainly good at the moment, aren't they? I have to give them credit. It's an individual error the first 3 times, says Andrew Williams. The 4th time is on the manager. I wouldn't go into Garnacho too much, but he was poor today. No end product, hasn't improved this season, says Tyrone. The guy is not good enough. He's had his flip-flops on for months. The youth player would have been better. And finally, Casemiro has retired, says Bilal. All right. So obviously we've gone 1-0 down. What do you think about the reactions of players? Because we did say this could be like a slaughter. They're winning 4. After all, especially what happened with Crystal Palace, but it didn't end that way, did it? I mean, we sort of dug in a bit and made it hard for them.
Yeah, I was really impressed by what I saw on the pitch today. When you take out, for example, someone like Amrabat, I thought he had an all right performance today. Decent, did his job.
Sorry, just explain where Amrabat was playing today, because
Amrabat was 6.
Okay, there you go.
like, so he would drop in with the centre backs to allow our full backs to push on. He would sit next to Kobe like during possession and things. But the thing is that like, I don't know if anyone recalls, but in the second half, he underhit a pass, I think, by about 15 feet to Delo, because he has poor technique and he's very one-footed and things like that. So a lot of the players we had on the pitch today are not at the level to compete for the top end of the Premier League, right? But I thought that the setup was great today, and I thought that there was the required amount of heart and work rate from pretty much everyone, and that's what I felt got us back into the game, where we saw McTominay ordering a block around, and we did not get played through in that game at all. Like, they didn't cut through us. We saw Havertz having to drop deeper and deeper, and it kind of showed to you how useful it is to have a tall player that can control football. And I felt that in the preview Monday, we talked about how Arsenal don't like to be as wide as other teams.
That's right.
Because they want players around them. Both of their wide men were really, really ineffective because they had to get seriously wide because they couldn't play through or manipulate our block. And I thought that was really good from United, and it's filled me with a lot of confidence for the upcoming games.
So, because remember, when we done the preview show, there was you brought up the issue about Everton game, where we prepared for the Everton game with completely wrong tactics, and when the game started, we suddenly realised that what all the preparation we put into the game was futile, as we'd say, because it wasn't what actually happened in the game. So, do you think today was different then with Ten Hag? They've obviously done their homework with Arsenal. It's easy to see. I mean, they play some good football. Do you think they've done well to kind of neutralise them and stop them playing through us in that respect?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got to give credit to the manager and the team. And I mean, it's interesting because we should get to the elephant in the room now, which is Bruno Fernandes, because one of our big problems today was quality in the final third. And Bruno to Garnacho is our most consistent source of entries into the penalty box. However, without Bruno in the team, which a lot of people have talked for, we were so much better off the ball. We created a really good chance in the first half with McTominay pinching Thomas Partey and Rasmus. I'll be generous and say it was too early in the game for Rasmus.
Yeah.
It was in the first 2 minutes. No, did it go over the bar? He just fell over when he struck it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But I thought that, I thought that not having the crackhead nature of Bruno in the team really, really benefited us a lot today. We just need what we did that was good on Monday is that I don't know how we did it, so I have to look back at it again. But in the second half, we began to enter into the box a lot more with Garnacho. And normally we rely on Bruno to do that. But today we did it through several different ways. And we can talk about Garnacho's performance a little bit later. But I felt that we've seen the building blocks of what our team could be. Like solid, compact, like able to fight, and with a bit of flair and vim out on the wings.
Well, you talk about flair and vim out on the wings. There's a lot of comments about Garnacho, about maybe he's jaded a bit and he hasn't improved. I remember Tyrone said that. But one guy who's come in, who's sort of been in and around the first team squads, is Ahmad. He played today. He started today. And I thought he was very sensible on the ball. Watching him, I thought his nanny, watching from a distance, because I was kind of at the pub. I was watching that nanny because his movement, his skill, his flair. He had a lot of respect from the opponents because you couldn't get near him. He's wiry, he's strong. And, you can see there's a lot of promise there, I believe. And he's proved that today. A big game. You can't usually say, "Oh, don't throw him in." If that was Palestri, you say, "Oh, well, don't expect too much. You're playing against Arsenal." But with Ahmad, he stepped up in a good big game, and I thought he performed pretty decent today. With all the attributes that I like about him, he's very strong on the ball, keeps the ball well, shields it well, give and go, uses it well. Very tidy kind of player. And I thought he's, if you're talking about that creative flair missing from Bruno, I think he's sort of guy who can come inside and link up the play in the final third in tight areas and do really well. So I was pretty impressed with him. And I think he deserves more of an opportunity because every time I've seen him play, he seems like he's got that promise about him. So I don't know what you guys think in the comments about him, but I think Amad is someone, if you talk about sell, bench, keep, all this kind of thing for the future, I've seen enough from him now to say I would keep him in and around. I think he's good enough to be a player for us. You think about Harvey Elliott; these players have been developed and brought through and given a role at Liverpool. The same should be done for someone like Amad, who's talented for one, seems hungry, and doesn't seem to let us down. So I was pleased to see him start the game against top side like Arsenal and perform well against a team like Arsenal and give them a bit of a problem with the absence of Bruno.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. My only things that I'd say about Amad is like, right, first of all, to preface this, Amad looks like our best right winger. All right, today, he looks better than Anthony out there.
Yeah.
He looks better than Garnacho out there.
Okay.
I still actually think that I would play Rasmus at left wing, at right wing, to be honest, because he's fast. That's the only thing I can say about him at the moment. So I'd maybe play Rasmus out there. But Amad's a neat and tidy player that needs people to combine with. And it looked good when Kobe Mainu was around him. But at the same time, he did run into a lot of traffic and he didn't actually sort of have any real end product. He was a little bit hesitant at pulling the trigger and releasing the ball. And I think if we'd seen him play more, I think that he maybe would be a bit more fluid in his decision making and a bit more aggressive. And I think it's a real shame that he hasn't been given more chances this season, because I understand why Anthony is in the team, and Anthony did two very good things today. He won that tackle and he drove at the defense and things, and he actually produced more output than Amad did in an attacking sense. But Amad, there's a player in there, and I don't know what it is, because I think I saw someone in the comments saying he faded, and that's true of every match I've seen of Amad. Is he looks really good for 15 or 20 minutes, and then after that he seems to just drift out of the game. But I think it's really poor from the club that we haven't seen more of him. Give him 10, 15, 30 minutes here and there.
Okay, couple comments here. So Agile Beast 21, how you doing, man? Good to see you in the house. He's saying Kambala should have started. He's coming back from injury, so that's questionable, but good shout. And good to see him back, by the way. Andrew Williams saying here, got to write off Casemiro, even as a centre midfielder now. Are we being unfair because he's playing in a position that he's not used to? Or is it just we're basically judging the whole on his whole spell at Man United?
I think that his race is run. Manchester United, and he's man of the match in a cup final. He scored a winner in a cup final. I don't want to see him go out as just a pudding. Do you know what I mean?
I know you're going to say that. You know what? That name you gave him nearly over a year ago, you gave him the name Pudding. It really fits and it sticks with him. Just sticky toffee pudding in a way. He must be disappointed. And we're looking at Anthony, we're looking at Casemiro, not in the Brazilian squad, are they, for the Copa America? They're not performing at the high level, and it's ruthless in a way, because Casemiro is kind of a legend for Brazil with what he's done over the years. And Anthony is a young, hungry player playing at a big club, Showtime, and he must be disappointed too. So shame on them, because they haven't performed. And that's the result of it. You're not going to be picked for the international side, especially a team like Brazil. We've got players coming through all the time. I thought Scott was excellent first half at pressing, says Andrew Williams. Says DK Wilson, talking about your observation about the way Arsenal. So thanks for the observation, explanation about the setup to nullify Arsenal's wide players. Clapping what he said there, bath time for sure. Rasmus was rubbish once again, says Andrew Williams. I want to say hi, Minerals FC. How you doing, Minerals? You've definitely got the minerals. He's saying Kaz Amarat had the energy. Let's have it right. So he talks. Basically saying Amarat had a lot of energy out there. Bart saying here, ideally, Mainu and Garnacho should have good competition for their places come next season, so they can push themselves to get better, like Palmer and Foden do. That 2 other young players. Old Trafford is leaking against us. UK Strange. Here's some ratings for you. You can see the obvious one is Rasmus has been given a 2. We always appreciate Andrew Williams' ratings. He's quite shrewd, and but on the money. A 5 would be an average, as you can see there. So the highest score we got is a 7 from Scott McTominay, which is a good performance. Teddy is saying here, you always beat Papa Smurfy. Is Teddy who I think it is?
Yes.
How you doing? How you doing, Teddy? Teddy. All right. Andrew is saying Dallo started well, but faded during the game. Half time.
Yeah, I'm just giving a thumbs up because I saw that, and it's a consistent with Ahmed. I feel where you'll see him and you think, God, who's this cheeky little player? Beautifully balanced, like faces his man up well, and then he disappears for the rest of the game.
Andrew is also saying Ahmed did show me there's a player in there, though. I mean, come on, we have to give someone a fair judgment. He hasn't played a lot of games, and don't expect too much when he does play. Ahmad looks more Brazilian than Anthony at the moment, says Tyrone Williams, and he did really well today. Why hasn't Ten Hag given this kid a chance? It's criminal. Bart is saying here, will Ahmad lead the club in the summer if someone else is signed in his position? After all, Andy doesn't deserve any suitors like Sancho. I want to say hi to Andy Herbert. He's an Arsenal fan and a friend of the channel as well. He said, big up, lads. Both teams were rubbish. I know we won 1-0, but nothing to boast about here. And Agile B is saying nobody pulls the trigger in his team. Wheatley made a good couple runs across the centre backs, and the pass wasn't made. Good observation there, Agile Beast. And Tyrone finally saying here, Ahmad, regarding his injury, the knee to knee in the first half bothered me. Otherwise, I'm fine. Great news. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, and pissed off Declan Rice. Like, did you see him crunch McTominay in the first 2 minutes?
I did.
Naughty.
Yeah.
Like, it's good play, to be fair. But I didn't like that. I was like,
Declan Rice has been like a big difference maker, I think, for Arsenal. Very good player. I mean, you've kind of a couple of years ago at Bath time, you were sort of praising him at West Ham, saying what a great player he is. And I think we've done an eye test one time when you really went into detail about.
No, that was off the camera. I showed you the footage off show of what McTominay did to Declan Rice to shut him down in a game.
Yes,
and what Declan Rice was doing.
Yeah,
no one else but us saw that.
Oh right, okay. It's just okay. I can't remember. I remember going through it with you, and a lot of appreciation because a lot of people think you want to see assists and goals and all this sort of flash stuff in midfield, but he just does things that are effective for a team, and he's a good team man as well. Every time I see him, I think, that's the sort of guy you want to have in and around your squad. All right, look, we came back well Bath time with the squad that we had. Are you sort of, because the fans were kind of like, I see some fans sighing and everything, but is that just, can we just accept that they're better than us? Or are we going to say if we had our full team, we could have competed and actually beaten them?
I think we'd have done worse with our full team, to be honest.
So talking about the Bruno factor and...
I'm talking about Bruno and Rashford. Yeah. They give you an element of threat and things. But I think that anyone who watched the game today has been watching us recently. We've been talking about how you contain teams, how you sustain attacks, like how you keep people like in jail. And today, for the first time, I saw us keeping a team in jail with Casemiro and Evans and Slippy Aaron Wan-Bissaka as the last line. And I think it showed that if we can get the right players into a system, like we're not as far behind as everyone thinks. And I mean, the key issues today, right, for me is I thought Amrabat had a good game. But I know he's not good enough to play. I don't think he's good enough to play in the Premier League.
In the Premier
League, because of I've told you this before, but because he's so incredibly right-footed and has a very strange dribbling gait, he completely shuts off a range of passes and he shuts off one side of the pitch, and you're always going to suffer with that. However, he's a good lad, and he did all right today. Like, I enjoyed him boshing Saka in the second half. But the thing is the reason why people are going to say he was great today is because he just went into the right areas and he dropped back when he needed to. He went into the midfield when he needed to. He stayed central when he needed to. He doubled up when he needed to. He did all the things that you don't need to be a great footballer to do. And so if we can get someone in who's got more technical quality, we're singing. But the real problems that we had today is if you have players like Garnacho, Rasmus, and Kobe in your team, they are rookies, right? And Rasmus is beginning to. My patience is wearing very thin with Rasmus Højlund because he's got too many bad habits, and we're not seeing anything worth 70 million from him. But with Garnacho, he's got. I'm not dissing Garnacho at all. He was probably our most likely source of a goal today, but he needs some serious individual coaching on lots of aspects of his game. And I really think that we could do with getting a more experienced winger in than him at the moment.
So look, I asked the question, do you think was it Arsenal being that good, or was it us putting our weakened side without the Brunos, the Rashfords? And then you're talking about Garnacho not performing well. But Rashford, he always seems to do well against Arsenal. I think that was a big miss. They would have been threatened a lot more, despite his, the frustrations that we have with him. So put Bruno.
Okay, so the point I'm making is that you wouldn't have got a performance like that of pinning a team in, having lots of possession, lots of touches on the ball, and not gotten cut through if you played Bruno and Rashford, because the threats on direct transitions and chaos football.
Fair enough. But do you think someone's not taking responsibility? Because Bruno takes all that responsibility to be the provider, the creator in the side. Do you think that all these passing and things, because no one's been decisive enough or brave enough to sort of make a low percentage pass, try a little something? Is that why we had him play?
Exactly. Like there were times in that game where we were opening up the half space really nicely. The problem is that the players in the half space were Wan-Bissaka, Dalot on his bad foot, and Amrabat. Right. So if we'd had Bruno in those positions at those times to put a quality ball in, then McTominay and Rasmus probably would have had much more to work with. But I don't think that we'd have got in those situations certainly with Rashford. And the thing for me is, I'm not for 1 minute saying that we get rid of Bruno Fernandes. He is our best player. He's just a great lad, like cares about the club, always puts everything in. Even when he has a bad game, you've still got work rate off him. But from what I saw from McTominay's performance today, McTominay created our two best chances today.
Yeah.
Right. I think that what we need is with Rasmus, Bruno, Garnacho, and Rashford is they need some serious coaching now.
Half time. There's a lot of comments here. We're going to sort of touch on this. We like involvement and participation, guys. Keep the comments coming in because you guys are raising talking points for us. I'm just going to go through this quickly because we talk about Rasmus. Tyron's saying here, I'm sure Wheatley will be able to force Rasmus out eventually. He's more rapid than him. So there's a youngster coming through who's been getting a few cameos recently coming on. And Andrew Williams saying, Garnacho reminds me of Foden. We need to get him coached properly. Do agree. So he agrees with you there about coaching, individual coaching to improve players. Because Tyron said earlier, Garnacho, he doesn't feel like he's improved this year. Wheatley can force Højlund out if given a chance. I want to say hi to Spotlight MUFC. Welcome to the Man United agenda. He's saying here, how can you be blaming Rasmus? He is getting zero service every single week. He has proven he is a goal scorer when he gets the service. So let's talk Rasmus here because
can I respond?
Yeah. Andrew scored him a 2 today. If you watch the Man United agenda, there is, Bath time yourself. We all sort of have we critique all players, and I think there is an issue. Bath time, over to you because you brought this up as well. How can you be blaming him because he's getting zero service every week? When he does get the service, he went in a 6-game or 7-game winning streak where he scored lots of goals. Talk on that, please.
Well, I think the problem is that his inability to hold up a ball or compete for a ball is a massive part of why he's not getting service. He's unable to do something called a table. A table is something that a player like Benzema will do, where they will drop into a pocket, lay it off first time, and spin in behind. Like, we've never seen Rasmus drop in, lay off a pass, and spin in behind. Right. So the first thing is I think he contributes seriously to the lack of service he gets because his inability to understand how to hold up the ball. I would go so far to say that if Lukaku was in this team, who could, it was one of the few things that he could do was hold a man off.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't great at holding the ball up, we would score more goals because that is crucial to our game. And today, Kai Havertz didn't have a brilliant match, but he held the ball up. And he relieved a lot of pressure for Arsenal. The second thing is, you say he's proven he's a goal scorer. I think Rasmus can only score one type of goal. Like, you're not really seeing a huge variety in the goals that he scores. And a lot of time, he's running into his own men in the box. Like, I've seen him run into McTominay, Mainu, Bruno, Rashford. I think that, like, my criticisms towards Rasmus is that I think he has not improved as a football player. I don't think he contributes enough to the team. He puts us under pressure with his poor hold-up play, and I don't think that he attacks spaces well enough. Like, when you see a Ronaldo, like for us, when you see McTominay make a run, he demands the ball with that run. Can you see a time where Rasmus has made a run and you've got to give it to him? There's no other option. For me, no. So I think that this zero service argument is because Rasmus just wants to score tap-ins or from 4 yards. And that is, unfortunately, the mindset of a Sunday League striker.
Okay, so here we go. So it's about talking about the service. A good breakdown there, Bath. I do sort of agree with many of the points there. But I think we've got to allow players to grow. Now, he's coming to the side and being thrown in as the main guy. And, you know, the spotlight's on him, as with every player at Manchester United. And he had a great spell. We did score goals, but I think there's clearly, like you said, with Garnacho needing one-to-one coaching, there's areas, as you pointed out there, where he needs to improve, especially his hold-up play and just simplifying things. I think Ten Hag has had some good players with hold-up play. That Broby is a big, strong guy at Ajax. He played him. Not Holland. Who was the Haller? Yeah, with the testicular cancer guy.
Yeah, it was at West Ham.
Yeah. He holds up the ball really well. Yeah. And then he also brought in, so you can see the identity of the kind of guy that he wants. Then last season we had Weghorst, who was supposed to be big and strong to hold the ball up well. So I think definitely an area where Rasmus needs to improve. What do you guys think in the comments? Do you think Rasmus, are you trashing him already, or do you think this is about development? Do we buy players fully developed already, or do they come to the club and we're supposed to develop them with our new staffing team and that? Is that what we're supposed to be seeing here with Rasmus? So big up Spotlight MUFC. Great points you made there, and it's just good discussion. Spotlight, he doesn't deserve service. It's a response from Andrew. Maybe, because he does not make the good run. So there's another issue that Andrew might have with him. He scored 7 goals in 8 games. All strikers have runs. Bart saying here, Tyron Huberbaum, Holland was in the Golden Boot shortlist last season. I think that a club like Dortmund or Atalanta would be perfect for him. Talking about, I don't think we should consider selling him just yet.
No, we're not going to sell him, but I do agree with Bart there about a club like Dortmund, where there's less pressure and more time to develop, would have been a better step for him. I think that Rasmus, he reminds me a lot of Darwin Núñez, where he has everything. He has the size, the height, the speed. Like, there's no reason why he can't turn out to be a very, very good player. But at the moment, nothing's really coming off for him. And I think a lot of it is down to him. Like, I think players like him and Garnacho have got to go away this summer and watch a hell of a lot of footage of wingers and strikers and work on individual parts of their game and come back. Because I wouldn't say get rid of Rasmus at all at the moment. Yeah. What I would say is get someone in that's better than him.
Yeah, I agree. He's the main guy. This is the problem I have with him. He's the main guy, and there's too much pressure on him. 20 years old, or whatever old he is, early 20s, coming into Man United, expected to sort of, blaze it up. It's not going to happen. Yeah. Give the guy more time and give him a bit more confidence. He's not good enough, says Tyrone Williams, he's like a BTEC Mark Viduka, only 20 though, so to be fair. So you're agreeing there could be room for growth. Benny McCarthy was fired. Anyone know if it was an immediate fire or is he with the team
Been
till the end of
fired?
the season? I don't know.
Is that true?
Yeah, everyone was raving about Benny McCarthy, weren't they? They were saying,
Well, that was
he
when
was
Rashford got 30 goals.
Yeah, so what's going on? I don't think Benny's a good personality. Spotlight MFC saying here, yeah, because he's having to drop in and come and collect. How many goals did he score in the Champions League when balls were put up in for him? He's asking the question. I don't know. He scored a goal.
That's his job to drop in and collect.
But he did score a lot of goals in the Champions League, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, but they were all the same sort of goal.
Yeah.
They were all from four yards out and so on.
So this is a good discussion, guys. Tyrone Williams saying selling Fernandes may be necessary in order to revamp the squad. Sometimes sacrifices need to be made for the greater good.
I understand. I understand what Tyrone is saying, but what I would say to him, right, is take out what you think about Bruno Fernandes, the football player, and think about his dedication to the club, his injury record, how much backing he gives, like players and managers, the character of the man. Like, it's extremely difficult to get a player that has the qualities of a footballer and the qualities of a teammate of Bruno. And that's why I would be loath to sell Bruno, because I think as a character, he's so difficult to replace.
Andrew would say, Spotlight, the modern game is more than being in the box for traps. He cannot hold the ball up for Toffee. The runs are dire. He's not finishing the little chances that he does have. Agile Beast saying here, we can't resist a Hollywood shot or a pass with Bruno and Rashford out. Casemiro and Garnacho are happy to fill the void here. Rasmus says Tyrone Williams doesn't link up with wide players long enough. Not all down to wide men, saying here. Does nothing with conviction. Skamaka would be a good striker. Yeah. He's come in the Premier League. Didn't work out. He's gone again. He scored against Liverpool. So everyone's talking about him all of a sudden. Regarding Benny McCarthy, what is Benny McCarthy doing in the coaching setup? It's up to the club's coaches to help these players improve. We spent too much money. Okay. Rasmus, here we go. Big up to Colin. How you doing, Colin? Long time no see. Rasmus will be a baller. Just needs time. There you go. We asked a question about Rasmus. DK,
how much time, though? How much time do you give Rasmus?
Next season, like you said, have the summer. He's just come in, have the summer, get some extensive training going and mental training as well. Get your mindset right. He understands now the expectations, what's expected of him. Change his game a little bit. Calm down. He's been trying too hard, I believe. A lot of the time,
he's too excitable.
Yeah, he's burst on these runs, trying to close it down. And the crowd get to him and like, oh, well done. And he likes it, gets to him, and then he's tired. He hasn't got enough energy to do.
And he cries every time he scores a goal. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like,
this is DK Wilson. He always sort of has some good comments. He said Haaland came from the Danish league football to the EPL at 18. It's difficult to imagine him as anything other than very raw, which he is. Simon's just come in the house, just back in from work, despite the scoreline. How did the match itself go? Did we put in a good enough effort, performance, or bottle it again? I think the general consensus is that we worked really hard. We put it on them as much as we could with the limited side we had, and we should be proud of the performance, the effort that we put in. That's if everyone agrees with me. Yep. Okay.
I agree.
And just coming through, the comments are flying in, but big up, guys, everyone. This is a funny one. Once his acne clears, that's Agile Beast. Talk about Rasmus. Obviously, he's a young man. He's going through changes, isn't he? All right. Okay. Bath time.
I want to talk about Garnacho now.
What do you want to talk about with Garnacho? Because a few guys in the comments and were saying he's getting faded and he's tiring out. And they've been saying this a long time. How do you think Garnacho's improved? Because Tyrone even said we're not seeing improvement with him.
Oh, he's definitely he's improved tremendously, but just not in the exciting stuff. Like his off the ball work in defensive situations is far better. His ability to retain the ball is really, really good. Like when we try and build up from the back, you'll notice that like Garnacho drops in a lot to play a sort of first time bounce pass into like Casemiro or someone like that, and he rarely gets it wrong. He's he doesn't really lose the ball as much as like you would think for a player that young. And he's definitely stepped up his ability to defend in a front three and to get back. So like that is all great improvement. But my issues with him, Monday, is his balance and his sort of like his inability to sort of twist and turn. Like when you see him, he's just a straight line runner. Bit like everyone looks likes that guy at Newcastle, Isak. Like Isak to me, I don't think will ever be a top quality forward because it's all about straight line running. He doesn't have the ability to sort of take a step inside and work that little bit of space that even someone like Rashford does quite a lot. And Garnacho, I think that today we could have easily won that game with a more mature and considered performance from Garnacho. And I'm really worried, Monday, that we need someone to get hold of him soon because he's picking up too many bad habits, and he could be so good. He could be so good. Like he's got everything that you need to be, well, except for like extreme pace. Like he's a little bit slow, but when you see him, his body position is wrong so often. I'm thinking about that time against Liverpool where he didn't cut across Alexander-Arnold to shoot. Like, and then you've also got his selection of crosses and shots and things like that. I think that we could do with getting in a position where he becomes an impact sub again, as opposed to our main man, and we work on his sort of like his physique a bit of strength and conditioning, and also develop more aspects to his game, so he's not so one note in what he does. Like there's very little variation in his attacking play.
I don't want to contradict myself, but I said earlier that I see talent and progress with Amad when he comes on, but he doesn't play every single game. So am I saying here that Garnacho will develop by playing him every game? Because now we play him most games. There was a period where he was a super sub coming on and impacting the game. Mm-hmm. Now he's playing most games. In his mind, he probably thinks, I am the man now. I've got that position. I am Garnacho. The fans love me. I'm excited. I've done the business. But can you now, do you have to sort of tame him and put him back on the bench, he's saying here, for him to develop? Because you've given him that run. Do you take that away from him now and say, sorry, thanks for all those games you've given us and the overhead kicks and, some moments in your development, which has been good. He's played 40-odd games this year. But we need to draw you back a bit and start over again. Can our current setup, the management, do that to him without him feeling undermined? Because players are very sensitive, as we've seen, of what's been reported recently about the manager undermining players or picking on certain players. So I do agree, like Haaland, that these guys... Haaland, these guys need to be slowly integrated into the side. But what's happened with Haaland and with Garnacho, they've been thrown in the deep end and expected to perform. And then we're going to see cracks. We're going to see weaknesses. So it's all about character now. Can they turn that around?
I know. I don't think it is character.
Has Garnacho got the character to dig in and change his game and adapt and develop at Manchester United Football Club?
I don't think it's about character in this case. I think that Rasmus is, like, as I say, he's too febrile, he's too excitable and stuff, but I don't think you doubt his professionalism, his work rate and his character. Garnacho, he could go any bloody way with how mental he is, but on the pitch, I don't doubt his character, his commitment, his work rate. What I see now is that we've got some really talented players in that team. Like we've got Kobbie Mainoo, we've got Garnacho. I know everyone doesn't rate him, but I really like what I see from Forson, even again today. And we've got a group of players that have dominated at their age group, so that they're the best, like 17 and 18-year-olds around. What I'm worried about now is that I'm not seeing any improvement in any player that has come to Man United under the Ten Hag regime.
Yeah.
Like someone like Anthony, there are things in Anthony's game which are shocking to me for a professional footballer. Like the way he tries to separate his man is he tries to get his shoulder across and then sort of speed boost away. But you're playing against Premier League players. They're not going to let you do that. So you need more to your game. And with Kobbie, lovely player and stuff like that. But I'm still seeing some weaknesses in his game about the distances that he keeps, which is the ability to kind of step back and then step forward and stuff like that. And with Garnacho, his sort of dribbling technique and how he attacks a man and gives himself options. I really need, like, if we're going to keep Ten Hag as a coach, we've got to start seeing some improvement in these players, or at least some trying different things, because we're just beating a head against a brick wall at this moment. And
I would argue that in the past we've been buying players, ready-made players who have been developed elsewhere. What should be, if we're buying younger players now and we've changed our policy or bringing through youth players, we as a club should improve our setup, our coaching setup, not just Ten Hag. There's other players, other staff members working with these young players. We should improve that to the point where these players develop. And you said there hasn't been any development under Ten Hag. I don't think it's just Ten Hag. Ten Hag's a first team coach. Okay, the other guys in staff members have to work with these players and develop them into first team players. And then once they're first team players, then Ten Hag can take them on to the next level. That's the way I've.
Yeah, but they're in the first team. Mark. Garnacho's has played 40 games this season.
Yeah, he has. So where's your picking out? And we've all said in the comments as well. Big up to all you guys in the comments, talking about the talking points about the critiquing these players: Garnacho, Haaland, Ron Garnacho at the moment, and Mainu. And we said it in the last 5 minutes. You mentioned a lot of factors that they need to improve on. That's gonna take time. There's an equation, isn't it? The improvement with time and games. That's when you're going to see it. So we're going to have to sit back, stay in 8th place, and wait to see this improvement and see, rather than damning Ten Hag right at the moment, let's see if he can improve these players, because we haven't done this for years. It's not just Ten Hag. We haven't improved or developed any players at our club for a long, long time. Players
but
coming
at least a Monday, right?
Not improved, in my opinion.
Sorry,
it's not Ten Hag.
A Monday, right? With Ten Hag, right? He made a big boo-boo in signing Casemiro. Right. Okay, and I think he accepts that, because this summer we couldn't get Harry Kane, so instead we went for what we thought was the most cost-effective, talented young striker out there, which is Rasmus Højlund. Okay, that's kind of, it's not perfect because you've got a player that's learning on the job at Manchester United, but fair enough. Like that, at least there's been a change. But the thing is that if that is the model we're going through, which is to develop young players and coach them and things, with Ten Hag and his setup, right, he might not be responsible as an individual for coaching them, but as the leader of the sort of the playing staff, of the club employees, it ultimately sort of rests with him. Can you tell me which players you have seen develop like out of bad habits in the 2 years that Ten Hag has been here?
Right. So you talk, which I think Dalot is still a youngish player, but his professionalism. I saw him today driving forward. I thought he's been my player of the year. So I think there's an improvement there. That's what we want to see. We get to a point where you become a complete player. I think Dalot has definitely improved. I think it's more to do with his professionalism.
Yeah,
he's taking things on board and doing really well.
I think he's always been a good player, to be honest.
Yeah, but he's so professional and he works so hard and he does things away from training to keep himself in good fitness, and he's got a good mentality. You don't hear no drama or anything about him. So I think that's somebody, if you've got those attributes, you've got to improve in the setup. The other players, we're not seeing improvement. Sancho, for example, bad attitude. He's out of the club now. I don't think you're going to see development with him because of this attitude. The players you're going to see development with is the ones with the right attitude, which hence why we talked about Rasmus and Garnacho. We thought Rasmus might have we speculated he might have a good attitude to improve and want to improve, and he's hungry for it. You question Garnacho, maybe there might be some issues about his character, whether he can improve or whether he can.
Not on the pitch. I don't question him on the pitch. His off-field antics are very immature.
So I think, once again, I'm doing the equation thing again, but to improve as a player, Garnacho is a good example. He's improved. Dalot is a good example. He's improved because, for one, he's been professional. He's maximised his talents. He's listened. He's respected the coach, even though his hero Ronaldo has been booted out.
Sure.
He's paid. Right. Don't hear anything.
Except for Lowe. Who else?
Dalot for me has improved. I think McTominay's done well this season, even though he's not a young player. I think he's developed. He's had a bit of game time. He's been in and out the side, but he's made his runs to get goals for us, crucial goals. And he's.
I think people would argue that that's come from Scotland, as opposed to that's Ten Hag using him away another manager has, as opposed to Ten Hag saying, this is the guy. But when you look at players like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, has he improved? Has Rashford improved? Has Anthony improved at the club?
No.
Has Bruno improved?
Bruno's at the age now where he's actually a complete player. I don't think he's going to get much. We've seen everything he can do. I don't think you can get much more out of him because of his experience. Onana's first season, he's been a bit poor, to be honest, with his shot stopping, for example. Maybe if there's a level there where he can improve, that's what he can improve on. Maybe shot stopping and positioning.
So
I see your point. You're naming you're firing players at me that I cannot defend.
Yeah, but you're not. But also,
you're right. You're right.
You think about like Eriksen, Ahmad, you could name all of them. Willie, it's really the only players that I think have performed at an acceptable standard this season are Dalot, Evans, Maguire, McTominay, Bruno. I think that those are the only ones who have really sort of been there for the thing. And I think that any improvements to them come from their character as opposed to the coaching. So what I'm worried about with Garnacho, Kobe, Rasmus, etc., is that we don't have a track record of improving these players. And I see so many bad habits forming with the three of them because there's no accountability for them. There's no one that's going to come in and take their place. That's what's worrying me at the moment.
Okay, let's go some comments, guys. Let's get some interaction with you guys about it. Let's start here with Andrew Williams. When Garnacho is on the left, always looks comfortable to come inside. When he's on the right, looks to make for others. That's Andrew Williams. Tyrone, his brother, saying Garnacho was playing like someone who thinks he's the finished article. The shooting from long range was unnecessary. He should have been subbed earlier on in the game. Simon Warner saying Ten Hag only has 3 matches left. So against Newcastle, we talk about that in the preview. Simon Warner saying here, would you put the same squad out for the next game as well? Preview talk. Hopefully Ineos can help Man United to rediscover the ethos. The United fans need to be entertained first and foremost. Darius, it's really difficult to improve in the midst of the season, especially if you're young and forced to start. Remember, the extra work time for improvement now goes to rest and recovery. Tyrone Williams saying here, shout out to Man United women win the FA Cup for the first time in the club's history. Well done to the girls. If Onana can keep a clean sheet for the next 2 games, it would be a miracle. Simon Warner. Was Casemiro down to Ten Hag or people above him? We can't really answer that. We don't know. We deserve better saying Anthony lost it at allegations. Remember that, which were there for a year before we were told. Onana has had 32 different backlines in his first season in a new team, in a new league, in a new country. That's fair. We said better again saying Mason Mount and Martinez injured most of the season. Agile Beast saying here, I think Dalot is someone Pep would love to have in his team. Yeah, that's true. Nope, says Andrew Williams. DK, you would defend him until the end of the earth. However, the proof is in the pudding. The proof in the pudding is in the eating. Sorry, I worded that wrong. That's a new one for me. I like that saying, actually. The proof in the pudding is in the eating.
The proof of the pudding is in the eating.
He said
the proof of the pudding.
So you say the proof of the pudding is in the eating.
Andrew's just misspelt there.
Okay, I like that one. I'd never heard that one before. I like it. Wizard Bet said his headline Hungry Divas won't pass the ball to Rasmus, so he wants more service. As he's saying here, Rashford, had the highest goal scoring season under the Ten Hag, so that's an improvement, isn't it?
Would you say Rashford has improved?
I'd say no. There's still things about Rashford that frustrate me. He's got so much ability; he could do so much better. So, despite scoring those goals, if you base it over the season, we watched every game on the Man United agenda, and you guys joined us as well. There was a period where he didn't score after the cup final, like Casemiro. I think he sort of flaked out a bit, if I can remember rightly. Bruno's a complete player. There you go, says Andrew Williams, of a player. See you next Tuesday. Of a player
for the quiz.
So, here's one. McTominay has developed under having. How can you say that from Scotland? What's joke agendas? Bruno has been SHIT all season.
No, he hasn't.
Okay, a couple more here before we go back to you, Bath time. At least during Ten Hag's tenure, we have been to Wembley a few times, not just for finals, but for semis too. We won a trophy, so when his run is over, he'll have something positive to go on his CV. DK Wilson saying here, Andrew, I don't defend Garnacho all the time. I've never. He's gone capital letters. He's stating the point. I never said too much good about him. To be honest, I just know a young player, pro athlete who doesn't already have a formed game needs practice far more than play. And I want to say hi to Phobius Taco Man. How you doing? End of season now. What a load of David. There you go. Ten Hag at Ten Hag. Ten Hag in. Okay, so big up to you, man. Welcome to the agenda. Very true. Dalot's been the best player. He's improved immensely. And Rashford has improved on the dance floor. All right. You talk, Garnacho. Are we done with Garnacho, that talk?
Yeah, I think.
You want to grab him by the neck and still throttle him some more bath time?
Oh, I did today. But the point was essentially is that we've got a lot of players with a high ceiling, that could go on to do a lot of good stuff, and I'm really concerned about how there are glaring weaknesses in their game that we see all the time, and it's not like with someone like Gareth Bale, where when Bale went to Madrid, same with Ronaldo, they kind of maximised their strengths and played them in areas, score lots of goals and things. Like there are basic and fundamental errors in a couple of our young players' game, which is to be expected. But with the amount of football that they've had, like all internationals, I would have expected to have seen it addressed a little bit more. And I noticed it a lot today with Garnacho and how he was taking on Ben White in particular.
So we've seen Arsenal play today. They've had a great season. The last 2 years, they've been really good, haven't they, as a football side? I think they're lacking something, clutch time to really sort of get over the line against City to win a title or to go far in the Champions League. But we seem like we're in developmental stage, and that's why I'm kind of calm about things. If we were sort of, up there and playing really well and performing badly, then I'd be disappointed. But we're talking today, the majority of the show, Bath Time, we've been talking about areas where players can improve, meaning they're young enough to sort of become better players at our club, which shows that we're going to develop, hopefully, and improve, because we need to improve from where we are today.
We saw a lot of improvements today. We didn't get caught on transition.
Yeah, true. Good point.
We were able to pin players. We were able to put Arsenal in jail, which I couldn't believe. We had all of them contained in one part of the pitch, and we were competing physically pretty well across the pitch. I mean, one of the players we normally rely on to compete physically is McTominay, and McTominay lost most of the duels today. Obi, Amrabat, even Diallo were all out there kind of covering for him because of, I assume, of his injury and stuff. Make no mistake that against the top teams this season, like Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal, we've gone out with a different game plan, and Bayern Munich. We've gone out with a different game plan, and we've looked a hell of a lot better when we just go to the principles of being compact and looking after the ball. And I don't understand how the manager and the players can look at the performance of Anfield away, where we should have won. Rasmus missed a chance. Anana threw it away in Bayern for us. We've done very well today against Arsenal. We've made them look extremely average. Whether maybe that's because I think actually what happened today with Arsenal is they got out-tacticked by Ten Hag because they were expecting us to try and play transitions, and they sat back waiting for us to do something stupid and then just transition straight through our team. But none of that happened. So the building blocks are there. And today we're talking about different issues, which is the individual characteristics of Amrabat and things like that. So if Ten Hag stays, he's got to continue with the kind of stuff that we saw today, and maybe work more on build up so that we're not booting it the whole time. And then eventually we'll find a way in games like we did today, to get Garnacho involved. Because Garnacho wasn't involved in the first half, but in the second half, we got him involved. And I don't know how we did it, but that would have been a tactical switch that they did. So I think actually today I'm quite impressed by Ten Hag, but I've been impressed by him before, and I need to see it continue.
For sure. We do a bet saying here, how can Hag address it when he's had no team behind him? Ineos had just arrived and just started. Give our gaffer time and football men, not these Rudy bankers, he's saying there. Couple more comments before we sign out here. In 3 months' time, says Simon Warner, we will have new players and a new boss, fresh start. Let's win the first 2 games of the new fixtures this time and give the players a run when pre-season friendlies start. Tyron saying Eddie Howe versus Ten Hag, another interesting tactical battle. It's never his fault, says Andrew Williams. He's been sarcastic there. Mondi Darius, do young players you see today generally come in more or less fundamentally sound than players from previous, I don't want to say eras, evolutionary periods of the game? So basically saying it, do young players that we see today generally come in more or less fundamentally sound than players from the past, previous thing? Or I don't want to talk about eras. So my answer to that is this. We see young players we see today generally. I think players are brought up now. I'm seeing a lot of players going through drills I never knew before. They're, that I'd never played. I used to play wall ball and World Cup or all these sort of skilled street football. But now they're playing. They're doing small-sided games. There's futsals coming to the UK in the last 10, 20 years or so. We're seeing a lot of technically good players come through. I'm seeing a lot of my friends' sons getting into academies based on their technical abilities, which is probably better than mine when I was a young prospect coming up football. I was quite talented when I was really young because I had pace and power. So in my era, pace, power, strength was the traditional thing for British players, and they would develop you. In Ajax, in Dutch football, they look at technical ability first. Now we get to a stage in the UK where players that are making it, it's like you're getting smaller players getting the opportunity because they've got the technical thing about them. But like with scouts, I just talked to a scout the other day. He said that, look, when I'm watching players, if someone gives the ball away, I'm looking to see their reaction when they give the ball away. So that's the same as in the past. You give the ball away, you're not going to throw your arms up in the air. You're going to chase it down and get it back. That's what they want to see. So that's more character and mental. So definitely there's been a change for me, in my opinion. I'm seeing all these stupid drills, all these kick-ups and flicks and different, drills they're doing as youngsters. But overall, the fundamentals still remain the same if you want to make it as a pro football, because that won't take you any far. You can't do nuts and stupid flicks and click thing in that's the small-sided games. You can't do that in Premier League. Bath time, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a yes and a no from me to this, because Amonde is completely correct that with the but like it's ubiquitous now playing small-sided games, and you'll find that players, like younger players coming through, are not only sort of more two-footed and they understand angles a little bit more and things like that. They also seem to understand systems a lot more, especially at the top end of the game. So someone like Rico Lewis is a complete freak to me because he can play 3 or 4 different positions in a Pep Guardiola team, and he's not even 20. It's ridiculous. But the other part is is about the street football element, because it's everyone's good in a fair fight. Do you know what I mean? Like when it's on the training ground and it's like, the guy is reffing it and stuff and everyone is sort of playing in a good humor and things like that, it's easy and stuff. But on the pitch, it's not that case. And in street football, you get kicked, you get shoved, you get scraped, and you've got to find solutions to not be bullied and to get out of situations where someone's pulling your shirt and things like that, and there's no ref to protect you. So what I think you get now is that you get more academy players that are kind of like drones. So when Amonde was talking about you look at how a player reacts when he loses the ball. I also look at a player when he doesn't get the ball from a pass. And with senior players or someone like Ronaldo, they'll do a soap opera when they don't get the ball, and they make a big fuss about it. Now what I see from young players is all of them pointing like you should have been there or something, because they're so entrenched in systems and things like that. And back in the day, I think that younger players who came on, like Wayne Rooney, used to play football in the street the day before he played Premier League and stuff like that. And I think that players in the past had more of a mindset to solve problems and deal with things, whereas players now are more about slotting into a system. And that's the big difference I see between the generations.
Really good point there, especially about Wayne Rooney as well. He's one of the best talented players we've seen in generation at a young age. And he was just off the cuff, wasn't he? He would just do what he wanted to do. I don't know if it's good for the game or not, but these guys are more qualified than us regarding coaching. I think, but for me, the development side of things becomes with maturity, teaching these kids to be mature, because there's something missing. You see some great players coming through, youth players. Oh, he's going to make it. He's definitely going to make it, but they don't have the maturity, or they miss out on becoming pro. And until they learn that maturity, that's when they get into the system. So it's about understanding the arena of football. It's like a fraternity in a way, getting into pro football. You should know, Bathline, with the issues you had with certain people in the UK when you were coming through. It's like getting into that boys' club, getting into that fraternity. You have to understand it. So if you step back and understand the arena that you're trying to get involved in, and then do you know what? Maybe
that's an interesting point, because so as you know, I hate Plato with all my heart, but Plato did say something once, which is that I hate him. I think it's genuinely, if I had a time machine, I had the choice of getting Hitler or Plato, and going for Plato. But one of the things that I like that Plato said is that you either conquer yourself. You either get control of yourself, or you allow yourself to be conquered by yourself, meaning your appetites and desires. And the one thing that players coming through now probably have a hell of a lot more than they did in our day is sort of psychological and mental support from people around them. So I would much rather come through in today's age than I would, from where I came from, because I think that that there's more development of who you are as a person, and being able. So when you talk about maturity and stuff like that, people like Garnacho and Kobe and stuff, there'll be times where they panic, or they're not cool-headed because they don't have experience of top level, enough experience to see them through. This is something I feel about that Arsenal team. I don't think they've got enough experience of winning to be able to get over the line against that monster in Manchester City. But with the players that are coming in through now, I feel that they're probably more mentally developed to be able to deal with pressure and things. And it's maybe what we're seeing with Rashford and Sancho is that they're just in a sort of half and half generation, where they haven't had that mental development and that good background that people like Kobe hopefully have now.
Yeah. And we see players like Greenwood. It's really unfortunate for him, the situation he's in now, for bad decisions he's made when he could have been mentored better or avoided that kind of thing, So there's got to be learning lessons for the players coming through now, and say, don't be like thing. Remember, the NBA say, be like Mike, as in Michael Jordan, and now we should say, don't be like Greenwood, or don't be like Mason, for example. He would be seen as a good example.
Be like Juan Mata.
Yes,
that's the guy we need back at our football club.
All right, just guys, there was some really tremendous comments coming through, man. I really do appreciate you guys. I just got to read out one or two related to what we were talking about. Tyrone saying here, one of the reasons Brazil aren't the way they used to be is those street footballers aren't recruited as much as the past. Players are all the same now. Not good for the game. Interesting point, that one.
I played street football in Brazil a few times. One of the problems that they have in Brazil, right, is they've got two problems for football. The first one is that there is a predatory aspect to Brazilian society of anyone around 6 or 7 years old who's good. Agents will sort of buy them and James Milner. I
do that, James.
I love James Milner. He played for Liverpool, Leeds, Newcastle, Brighton. All teams that I hate, but I'm a huge fan of him and him not having an ice cream at Alton Towers when I saw it. But the other thing about Brazil is that everyone plays two sports. In the UK, you normally just play one sport. But out there, they'll play squash, they'll play like rackets or whatever. And lots of people, from my understanding, are now kind of going into those other sports because football has become so incredibly cutthroat and competitive, even like the sort of junior level, with like robberies and riots and threatening refs and things. Like, so I hope that that's of interest to someone.
Okay, guys in the comments, we really do appreciate you. It's been a sad day, really. I mean, we're overall disappointed, but I just want to say hi to a certain man in the comments I've been reading your comments, and this is Phobos. I think I'm pronouncing your name there, Phobos. He's obviously Ten Hag in, and he's given justifications why. And it's good to have that balance, because sometimes on channels you can get overwhelmed with all this negative stuff about a manager or a player. And sometimes someone comes along with level head and says, actually, I think this, and you stand your ground. So I appreciate your views. I do agree with you regarding Ten Hag. I don't think there's anything he can do against Arsenal or Man City, or the teams above them at the moment. They're all in a better position. So you're talking Chelsea, Tottenham, Aston Villa, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal. They're all above us. Clearly, they're in a better position than us. We are going through a transformation. It's not all down to the manager. The whole club's changing. So I would stick with the manager and don't be too disheartened. Obviously, Newcastle next, and then we've got the cup, Brighton. Then we've got the cup final. 3 games to go, bath time. It's been a long season. How are you feeling? Do you want to get over and done with now?
A little bit. I'd also like to give Phobos a shout out because I like Greek mythology. And do you know who Phobos was the god of?
I don't know.
Phobia, fear, and flight.
Okay.
So he's very upbeat for someone with that name.
He's got fear of tacos.
Yeah, so do I. Carbs are the devil, man. Yeah, I do kind of want the season over, but I am beginning to get a little bit deluded about the cup final, especially when I think about what a hard season it's been for City and the Euros coming up and stuff like that. But I think we all agree that we want this season over. We want clarity on what's happening with Ten Hag. We want to see players such as Casemiro out of the club, and we want to see, get Elise's in, and we want to build a little bit of hope for next season, because this is the start of a new era. The Glazers aren't in control anymore. We've got Jim and all these really good football men and things, and I'm really hoping that next season we're going to look back on at the start of the turning of the tide, as Gandalf would say.
Yeah, and I think once we calm down, because we've been really emotional throughout the season, which we want our standards up here, and it's been low, so naturally it's going to be like that for the fan base as well. I think once we calm down in the summer and really assess things, I think we'd be a bit more lenient on the situation, by understanding the situation that we're in at the moment, and how we're trying to change, and how you have to take steps backwards to go forwards sometimes. And this season, as someone mentioned, sacrifice. I think it was Tyrone talking about sacrifices, but this season,
Bruno.
Yeah, this season has been a sacrifice. I believe we sacrificed our state of the season, Champions League football, hopefully to take steps forward in the future. Big up Tyrone, big up Siren, big up Bart, big up Phobos, DK Wilson, all you wonderful people, Matthew Bassett, all you wonderful people in the comments. Thanks for joining us. We've gone over an hour, but it's been a good discussion. Bath time. What are you doing for the rest of the evening?
Hopefully drinking.
Your drink? What was
sangria?
Oh, sangria, nice.
Sangria, and I tell you what I am going to do. Yeah. I'm going to watch Godzilla -1 or whatever. Our goal difference.
Can I just say, with that fire stick business, it's not up. It's still saying on my thing. I'm desperate to watch it. I check every day. It's still saying not yet released or not yet ready to watch.
I've got it, and I tested it, and I fast forwarded it to see what Godzilla looked like. Not happy with the design. It's just like,
it's a low budget film, but apparently it's the best. It's based on the actual characters. They built it up like that, So you don't see, a bit like Jaws 1, the first Jaws. You don't see the monster that often, but when you do see it, because of the good acting in the film,
I think you see the monster a lot in it in this, Samondo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay, I watched the first 15 or 20 minutes, and I fell asleep again. But maybe tomorrow we could do a Godzilla review.
If I can get to watch it tonight, maybe, yeah. By the way, I'm not around on Tuesday. We won our quarterfinal today, and now the league has screwed us over. They want us to play the semi-final against the best team who win everything, 3-4 divisions above us, on the Tuesday night, and I could be working. So for one, definitely won't be on the Man United agenda unless you guys take over. So no quiz or no preview show because we're playing on Wednesday.
It's Spurs City. Like everyone's going to sort of be watching that game, and hopefully it isn't finished in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So we won't do that. But we got Newcastle on Wednesday, haven't we? Yes. So there'll be a match actually about 10 o'clock. Is it? Oh, good. I'm good. I'm excited about this.
I've been so excited to see this. I've been waiting to watch it. So thanks, Phobos, because apparently, I've heard my review. What I just said about the characters. It's got to have good acting, but you get involved in the characters, and it's their reaction to Godzilla which makes it.
I like the symbolism
rather than the CGI Godzilla. It's about their reaction to him.
I like the symbolism of it. I like the fact it's based on like this terrible disaster that completely changed the national psyche of a whole country, and I think it's absolutely fascinating. Godzilla. It's in the same way that when you think about alien invasion films, right? Like I've always wanted to know what it would have been like the first time you saw them Vikings. Like up in the northeast when they're coming and these incredibly weird looking dreadlocks, like everything around, and they turn up. That must have been the nearest thing to an alien invasion. And I also really like the idea of Godzilla and King Kong being mates and going and fighting people like Rush Hour. I like that as well.
Just quickly, Simon Warner's posted a film here. I don't know the name of it. Was it Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer. That's about the guy that built. So Oppenheimer is the architect of the atomic bomb, and that film was like next to Barbie was one of the biggest films of the summer. It was. They called it Barbenheimer because this is true.
Jesus Christ, that's too much, man. Oh Lord!
You didn't hear about Barbenheimer. People went to watch, they went for double bills of seeing Oppenheimer, a very serious film about guilt and destiny and things, and then they sort of had a chaser with Barbie. Yeah.
Oh my God! Don't tell me you've seen the Barbie film.
Of course, I've seen the Barbie film.
Bath time. All right, we're talking films. We're winding it out. Planet of the Apes. I like Planet of the Apes.
Oh, really good. I want to see the new one.
Is there a new one to that series? Same series, yeah?
Yeah, they're really far along, aren't they?
Okay.
There's a new one that's out. Mars Attacks. Do you know why that's a really interesting film? That's the only film I've ever seen where aliens have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
When in any other, you never see aliens having a sense of humor, and so I think it's really interesting that they have that.
Okay, loads of films coming out here. I need to sort of screenshot all of this, you guys, because I'm not filming.
We'll do films tomorrow night.
Okay, all right, cool. Because I've noticed over the last few years, or last 20 years, films have been whack. You remember when we used to go to Blockbuster and that was like the highlight of your evening? Like, what are you doing this Saturday? I'm going to go Blockbuster or go to a video store. There used to be video stores, all the VHS stores. And you'd have a collection. You'd watch every film to rent it, take it back. That's when I was into films a lot of the time. But now I find the films are really poor, tacky, rubbish. And very rare these days you get a good film. So the last good film I watched, which I really enjoyed, was Shutter Island. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was good suspense. What's the other one? Chasing Leonardo DiCaprio. Is it? No, is it?
Is it Catch Me If You Can?
Catch Me If You Can. Brilliant.
I've got a good story about that.
Go on.
I went.
And Ripley, Talented Mr. Ripley. Those two films really good. Sorry.
I went shopping with my dad around the time that film came out, and we were in a Waterstones. And as a practical joke, when he wasn't looking, because it's based on a book, I took the book Catch Me If You Can and put it in his bag. And then when he walked through, a security guard looked at him and said, "What's that?" And he pulled the book out and said, "Catch Me If You Can." And I was dying on the floor laughing. And both the security guard and my dad called me a fucking idiot. But I didn't care. I thought it was the best practical joke I ever did.
Well, A top film? You rate it?
Yeah, I did really like it. I mean, for me personally, the best films are about around sort of 2000. I loved
Yeah.
Blade 2. I loved
Is
the
that with
Lord
the
of the
Frost
Ring
brothers?
films. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, good film. Yeah.
And I remember when I was really young, I must have been like 7 or 8. My cousin Ian got a copy of Mortal Kombat and stuck it on. And the beginning of Mortal Kombat, it sort of and then plays the theme tune. I've never been more excited in my life about something. I would love to have seen that in the cinema with it all bouncing about and things. But yeah, should we do films tomorrow?
Yeah, that sounds good. It seems everyone's. I know we're the Man United agenda, but come on, guys, we're winding down. Do we really want to be talking about 8th place and disaster and negativity? Let's have some fun, guys. Guys in the comments, I'm looking at all the films. Great lists. We've got share the same sort of taste, I imagine. Good film is a good film. You can't deny it. And yeah, Shutter Island, The Thing is a masterpiece.
That's brilliant.
And Parasite, which I think is key. I'm very cynical with Hollywood these days about the films.
That's from Korean cinema.
Oh,
that's not Hollywood. Yeah,
but I'm saying, yeah, but Parasite is key to what's going. Anyway,
not this on there.
Yeah, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Space Odyssey. Here we go. Parasite. Something licorice
pizza.
Moonlight, Banshees of
Inisherin.
Uncut Gems. Is that like midget gems?
No. Uncut Gems. It's an Adam Sandler film, I think, about a jewelry heist.
Okay.
Midget gems.
Yeah. I was in Tesco today looking for midget gems. It was sold out. I was like, damn. Anyway, 12 months.
Tell our American friends what a midget gem is, in case they don't know.
Very small, little, soft, chewy jelly sweets. Not jelly, soft. They're quite chewy, but they're nice. You can pour some in your hand like that, shake them about, and just put them in your mouth and just chew and bite it around. I like midget gems. That's my weakness. If you want to impress me or buy me anything, buy me some midget gems, guys. So Bath Time, Barry Norman. That's a good one. The film. Yes, we should have that. That's a good title. Stephanie Griffiths, thank you.
Who's Barry Norman?
He used to do film, whatever year it was, BBC. He was a film.
So it'd be before Jonathan Ross.
Yeah, Barry Norman is like from the 70s. So yeah, Stephanie's showing her age there. So
shout out Stephanie.
Yeah, and we got Tom Jones was a hero. Yeah, funny film. Anyway, we talk about all that tomorrow on a light-hearted tip. But as for today, we've lost 1-0 to Arsenal, who are a very good side, and we want to get there one day, get up the league and improve. Bath Time, thanks again. I know you're going to enjoy the rest of your evening. You guys too in the comments. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we will be back tomorrow, no doubt about it. Maybe not Tuesday, though. And once again, at the end of the week, we want to say, send our prayers and thoughts with you, Mr. B. We love you, brother. And hopefully we'll see you soon. I know you're watching, so giving you a wave, a hug, Wakanda, love, and you'll be back with us as soon as possible. So keep Mr. B in your prayers and thoughts. We love you, Mr. B. We'll see you very soon. Bath Time. See you tomorrow.
Yeah. Hey. Bye-bye.